So for recording purposes, today is June 2015. Let's look at the first question. You have part A and part B. Now, if you're answering part A, make sure and say type A and then your answer. And then if it's B part 1, type B1 and then your answer. Get started, guys. And of course, you could scribble down the answers in your in your books first, or you could just start typing your answers on the chat immediately. Good luck, and I await your answers. Right. Look at all of these answers. Right now, obviously, they just ask you for 2. Right now, I stated quite a lot, and of course, I want to state that even though there are many answers, which 2 do you think will be the best of all the possible answers? So definitely, it regulates body temperature. Water can hold a lot of heat. Water is really good at absorbing heat. And of course, blood is made up of water. So if the place is really, really, really hot, the water in your blood can absorb the energy, the heat energy, and water moves around the body. So it can, how you say, distribute the heat around your body evenly. But you call that the regulation of body temperature. The regulation of body temperature means it's trying to keep the body temperature at a constant value, which is roughly 37 degrees Celsius, a healthy body temperature. But you can't do that without water. 2, I think everyone can agree with that one. This one, your eyes are always moist. Inside your nose is always moist. Inside your mouth is always moist. It can't be moist without water, right? So let me see which is the 2 best answers. It protects body organs and tissues. Believe it or not, water kind of around your cells, right? There's usually water around it. So it's come like a buffer, a kind of sponge. So if somebody punches you, that watery layer around or in between all the cells can act as a buffer, right? To protect you. It carries nutrients and oxygens to cells. Remember, water dissolves a lot of things in it. And of course, water is such a big part of blood, you cannot do any dissolving of nutrients and oxygen, right, without the water. So I think this is my second best answer. And of course, your joints need lubrication. Lubrication is a liquid. You can't have that lubrication liquid without water. And water is really good at assisting the kidneys and liver by flushing out waste, to remove waste from your body, from your kidneys and your liver. You need like a kind of liquid to kind of flush it out, right? You can't do that without water in your body. But anyway, the 2 best answers are this one and this one. And most people mention those. So that's good news. B, apart from water, the human body needs a balanced diet. We all know we need a balanced diet. We've been hearing that from since primary school. But what is a balanced diet? Now, before I reveal the answer, a balanced diet has to be about getting all your nutrients in certain what? Proportions. Everybody needs a certain amount of carbohydrates. Everybody needs a certain amount of protein. Now, too much or too little is not good. You need the right proportions. So your answer should reflect that. And this is my answer. A balanced diet provides the body with all the necessary nutrients in the right proportions. You want to use that phrase, right proportions, for the examiner, including, and let's give some examples, right? Like carbohydrate, proteins, not just fats. You want to say healthy fats, because there are good fats and there are bad fats. You want the good ones. And of course, vitamins and minerals. And a lot of people may forget this, but water, enough water, is part of a balanced diet, right? So I want everyone to take down my definition of what a balanced diet is. And I want everyone to memorize my one for the exam, because I know you will get full marks for this particular answer. right? So I'm going to give you like a minute to take that down, and then I will reveal my answer for part 2. Right? Now, there are so many. Now, I'm sorry, there are actually 3 answers for part 2. And I think we all know the 3 basic nutrients: carbohydrates, fats, and what? Protein. Right? But I put carbohydrates and fats. No, but oh, sorry. For this one, they said name 2 nutrients. So it's not any 2 nutrients that must be present in a balanced diet to provide all energy. All right. Now they said energy here. We all know that the main nutrient for providing energy is carbohydrates. But your body has a process. So let's draw a man here. So we have a man here. Let's say he's stranded on a desert island. So let's say he ate some food before he got stranded. Your body will first convert all the up in CRB, right? Will first convert all the carbohydrates into energy. That is your body go-to. But let's say that all the carbohydrates in its body is finished. Now, your body still needs energy. So if all the carbohydrates have been used up in your body to create energy, what will your body look to next? Will it look to fats or proteins? Because fats can be converted into energy under dire situations, and proteins, like in your muscles and whatnot, can also be converted into energy. But which one is your body's second choice to convert to energy? Is it fats or is it proteins? Let me know in the chat. Which one will your body go to next if all the carbohydrates have been finished? Right. And a lot of people are telling me it's fats. Correct. That's your body's second choice. Now, if your body uses up the majority of the fats or almost all of the fats in your body, then it has no choice but to go to the proteins. All your muscles, which contains proteins, will begin to be broken down by the body. Not a good thing, by the way. In a last hope to keep you alive, right? And of course, when the protein is finished, that's it. You go to your grave, right? This is supposed to be your grave here. That's the end of you. All right. So I think I had mentioned that last term to you guys. So let's move on. Part C, good luck. Give it a read, send your answers as usual. So the answer for part 1 is reducing sugars. Now, whenever you hear about Benedict's solution, Benedict's solution is usually used to test for sugars. And there are 2 types of sugars, or 2 main categories of sugars on the syllabus. It's either that you are a reducing sugar or a non-reducing sugar. And they can ask you for examples, right? Now, I have the arrows a little bit off here, right? Examples of reducing sugars are maltose, lactose, and glucose. Most people here will be familiar with glucose. Glucose is the sugar that your body uses during respiration to produce energy. An example of a non-reducing sugar is sucrose. In case you don't know what sucrose is the same sugar that you find in your kitchen, that you put in your tea or you put in your coffee. That white sugar, that's kind of biggish, that has kind of biggish crystals, is sucrose. Now, for the exam, you have to be able to quote at least one example of each, right? And like I said, you need Benedict's solution to test for these things. Right, so let's see the next one, right? Even though we don't have the diagram of test tube 2, we could still backtrack. The active ingredient in Benedict's solution is copper sulfate in it, which is blue in color. So Benedict's solution has something called copper sulfate in it. And for those who do chemistry, Copper sulfate, once you dissolve it in water, it has a bluish color. When heated in the presence of reducing sugars, so if you take Benedict solution and you mix it with maltose, lactose, or glucose, which are all types of reducing sugars, right? The reducing sugar reacts. So the sugar reacts with the copper 2 ions in the Benedict's solution to form copper oxide. Now, copper oxide and copper sulfate have two different colors. Copper oxide is reddish brown in appearance. Since test tube 2 was not heated, there will be no color change, right? So here's what. If you look back in your notes, you will see a test when we were doing the testing for nutrients, that in one test, when we were using Benedict solution, in both tests, sorry, heating was required. For this test to be successful, you need to heat up the reaction. I want everyone, do me a favor, go back in the notes. Just do me a favor, go back in the notes and verify with me that you can find the notes relating to Benedict's solution and let me know on the chat. And after you find it and let me know, I want you to take down this paragraph for me, right? And on top, just put reducing sugar test. This is something most of you all will need to memorize because most of you all are actually not doing chemistry. In chemistry, this is just general knowledge. In integrated science and HSB, it's not really general knowledge. It will be mostly new to the majority of the class. The diagram of the test tubes are missing. So the only reason that it worked in test tube 1 is that test tube 1 was probably heated. So in the diagram, you would have probably seen a flame or a fire under test tube 1. Because like I said, for this to work, heat needs to be introduced. I strongly suspect now that test tube 2, in the diagram, there was no flame or heat underneath the test tube. So the experiment was unsuccessful in that particular case. All right, so give this one a read, right? This one deals with a table. All right, good luck, and you know what to do. Send answers. This one, a balanced diet has roughly 40% carbohydrates, 30% fats, and 30% protein. Only option B displays those percentages, right? So I know a lot of people may not have known the percentages. I want everyone to make a note here, right? Just take down this note here. A balanced diet has roughly 40% carbohydrate. So that means if it's 30% fats and 30% protein, right? You notice protein and fats here are almost the same. And 40% would just be slightly larger than 80. And the only one that has a slightly higher one than 80 is the one with 100, which is B, right? So take down this here. This is the rough percentages for a balanced diet. Right. Now, it looks like the question did not change, but this is D part 2. Now they want to know which group of students would be most prone to becoming obese or overweight. Give a reason for your answer, right? So let me know on the chat like which group it is, and then we could focus on the reason why. But from just looking at it, is it A, B, C, or D? Who do you think is most prone to becoming overweight? Right, and people are shouting it out here, right? It's definitely going to be group A. Now, a lot of people think to become overweight, it's only fats that cause it. Like you think that if you eat too much butter or you eat too much cheese. Those things are what? High in fats. Now, don't get me wrong. Fatty foods or foods with fats can make you overweight. But do you know if you eat too much carbohydrates, it will also make you overweight? I want a reason why on the chart. Why is eating too much carbohydrates also responsible for obesity? Why would carbohydrates, make a person gain weight? Let's hear why on the chart. So carbohydrates, right? Your body